you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for being here. The largest financial institutions of our country. Let's talk about a very small island in the Caribbean and some of your business practices. Mr. Gorman, I'll begin with you. The Public Accountability Initiative issued a report earlier this year which noted how in January of this year, the Financial Oversight and Management Board and the Unsecured Creditors Committee argued in federal court that $6 billion of Puerto Rico's general obligation debt was issued illegally in violation of Puerto Rico's constitutional debt limit. And that was a quote. The report found, quote, the underwriters on the deals included a who's who of big banks, including Barclays, UBS, Santander, Morgan Stanley, end of quote. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch is also cited in the report as an underwriter. Furthermore, the Oversight Board for Puerto Rico issued a report by Cobre and Kim that stated that Banco Popular, Popular Securities, underwrote the 2014 general obligation bond even though they did not think Puerto Rico could repay it. Mr. Gorman, did Morgan Stanley know at that time that Puerto Rico could not pay back its debt?
Congressman, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the exact facts around the underwriting. I'd certainly be happy to get the details to you rather than guess at it. We have a global underwriting business. We're typically one of the top 1, 2, 3, 4 underwriters in the world. And
okay, you don't know. Thank you.
No, I do
Did
not.
you know that Puerto Rico's constitution does not allow the use of bonds to balance its budget?
I'm not familiar with Puerto Rico's constitution in detail, Mr. Garcia.
Yet your colleague from Citigroup here did know that and refrained from participating in that endeavor. It makes me really, really think. Why did you go ahead and underwrite the 2014 general obligation bond offering?
Well, I believe we've done a bunch of underwritings across all of the municipalities and states and territories of the United States for many, many decades, including Puerto Rico. I'm just not familiar, unfortunately, Mr. Garcia, with this particular underwriting.
Mr. Gorman, when you sold the 2014 GO bond, Puerto Rico already had about $65 billion in debt outstanding. Were you aware of that?
Again, I'm not familiar with the details of the Puerto Rico economy at that point in time. I'm happy to submit what information we have for your benefit, Mr. Garcia.
Isn't this type of information for potential investors, institutions like yours who want to do business in a particular place available to all, like a credit report would be?
No, it certainly is, and the information would be available within Morgan Stanley. As the chief executive, I can't be responsible for understanding all the details of everything.
Let me ask Mr. Moynihan then. Mr. Moynihan, would you commit to returning the $13.1 million or more that your firm collected in fees from illegally issued debt to the government of Puerto Rico as underwritten by Bank of America Merrill Lynch?
Sir, I'm not familiar with the transaction you're talking about. And I'd be happy to get back with you in your office and we could take you through it, but I'm not familiar with that.
Did you disclose that Banco Popular, who joined you in the underwriting, the offering, and Citigroup's action or refusal to participate, though Puerto Rico in 2014 couldn't pay back those bonds?
Again, I can get the teammates who worked on it to work with your office. I don't know the facts.
Did you underwrite these bonds because the market wanted triple tax exempt bonds even if the government of Puerto Rico couldn't pay them back?
Same question. Sir, we can get somebody who understands the details of this underwriting. If we in fact participate in it, I'll get some.
I'm trying to help the American public look back 4 or 5 years ago and understand some of the actions of our biggest institutions, financial institutions in this country. I think the American people want some answers about this. This isn't that difficult to know. It didn't happen that long ago.
I'm happy to give you answers, just don't know them off the top of my head.
This is very disappointing, and I would expect that that information isn't that difficult, It's been written about significantly lately, and the American people deserve better. Thank you. Yield my time.
The gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Garcia, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And first, let me thank you for calling this hearing on this very important topic. Gentlemen, thank you for your patience and your endurance. I know that all of us came in not expecting such a long hearing, but that is part of the process in giving the taxpayers and the public their right to know. I know it might